The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mind Garden media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions. What? Shut up. Please don't dance.
I'm doing Woo Woo Wednesday. Woo woo.
Please do not dance.
You haven't seen me dance yet, Todd. Wait until September. Anyways.
We are not dancing when you get here, by the way. When we meet, first of all, we're not hugging. There'll be no hugs. There'll be no touching of any kind. And if there's any singing or dancing, I'm done. I'm out. I quit.
We'll just wait and see. Anyways, it's Woo Woo Wednesday. Yay, I'm so excited about this. And we were just talking to our guest for tonight.
Okay.
What?
Zeeke Harris. Okay, so we've been kind of teasing the fact that we weren't sure if we could do a pants check on the show tonight because sometimes he doesn't wear pants. And then also, between you and I, we had a bet going in tonight just minutes before everything. And I said, what do you think? What's your guess? No shirt? And you said
no shirt. I said no shirt.
So when he came on, the first thing I said to him was, well, that bet's lost because he has a shirt on tonight. Which, by the way, thank you. Thank you.
It was great. When you know you have a great guest when you're taking bets before the show, whether they'll be wearing clothing or not.
Yeah, that's right. Although I think at any point at a party or something like that, if Zeke was involved, that would be a question. That would be a question of the night. Will Zeke show up with clothes on?
Without a doubt. And he is fantastic. You guys are going to absolutely love Zeke. Hi, Renee. Thank you for joining us tonight.
I didn't say Renee. Hey, Renee.
There she is.
Renee was one of our guests the other night that kept coming up as Facebook user, and I think she got that figured out. So thank you, Renee.
Thank you for that. Thank you. I like to know who's in here with us, and I hate that it says Facebook user because you really have no idea what's going on. So that's awesome that people are starting to get the hang of it.
It totally throws her off.
Totally throws me off. We have a busy Sunday. We have a really busy Sunday fun day this week.
Tell us about it.
We have a man by the name of George Lunsford. Now, he is an author. He is from, I want to say, North Carolina. And he has a podcast called Creepy Tales, the Podcast. And he also writes a lot of books about myths, legends, monsters, all of that really cool, creepy stuff. I'm sure Sasquatch is in there somewhere, the Mothman, and he'll be joining us. Mr. Lunsford, George Lunsford, will be joining us on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern for Sunday Fun Day. And this should be a really, really good, solid Sunday Fun Day. And what did he tell us today? He said, just want you to know, guys, I let it all hang out, and I don't hold back, so it should be a really fun time.
Maybe he's the guy we got to worry about wearing pants. I'm not sure.
I don't know what that meant.
When I first heard his name, I thought of the cartoon from Bugs Bunny. And I will name him George, and I will pet him, right? And then George Lunsford, or whatever it is, sounds very much like one of two things. Either at one point in his life, he lived in a haunted house, and there's a story about George Lunsford and his family, right? Or like some sort of weird 80s sitcom with George Lunsford as the dad of the group.
It does kind of sound like an 80s sitcom name, doesn't it?
Life with George is what it was called. Yeah. And it was starring George Lunsford and his wife, Clarita, and their son, Mac. And Mac was always in trouble at school. And then Mac's friend Zeke always came to the house and he wasn't wearing pants.
And he was never wearing any type of clothing. And he just had on a hat that said witch.
Witch. Yeah. I want a hat like that.
Oh, I'm telling you, that is a really cool hat.
I'm not a witch. I've got a wand, though, but I'm not a witch. So
yeah, I'm really jealous about that, too, by the way. So, so Sunday Fun Day this week, 1 p.m. Eastern. And boy, am I glad that we're changing our time a little bit for the summer, because not only camping season, but Saturday night, I have an investigation. So I have no idea how late I'll be up. So it'll be good to have it pushed back a couple
Remind
of hours.
us about the investigation, if you will.
Yeah, Saturday night, we're going to be in a church. I don't want to give too much of the location away at this point.
She's afraid her fans will show up.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Cassandra, will you sign this for me?
You're such a jerk. But it is a really, it's a church. It was built in the 1820s, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's gone through some renovations over those years. They sort of went from the style of pews that was right down the middle to moving them to the side, and where I can't remember what that was called. You know how they used to have the pulpit up at the top? You know, like the preacher would stand in like
Isn't that where it
goes?
This is the church, this is the steeple, you open the door and see all the people. Isn't that how that goes?
If you're in kindergarten, sure.
Okay, well, I'm just asking.
No, I can't remember what they call it. I can't remember, but they took that out and made like a social hall above. And so it's gone through some changes over the years, but it's supposed to be very, very haunted. It's very historic. It's in a historic Four Corners type of situation. And I have to say, we talked about this the other night. I'm a little bit, I don't know if nervous is the word, but a little bit mindful of what's going on. I've been starting to get some thoughts and ideas in my head, which happens to me a lot before an investigation. And I'm starting to feel that maybe there is a gentleman there that isn't going to be too happy to see us. So we'll have to see what happens. So I'm starting to get some things already. So it'll be an interesting night, and we'll probably be there pretty late. And so that's why I'm really glad that we will be doing it a little bit later. So Sunday Fun Day, 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. But yeah, I'm excited about this investigation, but just a little mindful of what it could entail.
So just so you know, if something happens and Sandy becomes possessed on Saturday night from whatever's in that damn church, I'm just telling you right now, Fun Day Sunday is canceled.
Well, thanks. I'm glad that you're thinking.
I'm not doing it by myself. And Sunday Fun Day will continue. I will be on Sunday Fun Day declaring, I told you so, to her. So that will be even more fun.
What are you telling me so? What are you telling me so,
just
young
be careful.
man?
That's all I care about.
I will. And again, you know, we've talked about this before. You kind of, each time that you investigate, it's sort of a learning experience. There's a lot of room for experiencing something you've never, no matter how seasoned you are, there's always the chance of experiencing something you've never experienced before. And It's always a judgment call. And sometimes you make the right call. Sometimes you don't make the right call, but you learn from it.
Make the right call, okay? Make the right call. All right.
I will. I'm ready. So I'm just curious as to what exactly is going to be in there Saturday night. So it's going to be cool, though. And we'll talk about it. I think I'm going to have Dennis, my group, is comprised of Dave, my hubby, and then Dennis Webster. And I think we'll have Dennis back on to talk about it at some point.
Excellent. Yeah. Now, I can't remember because my mind is fried. Who's our audio cast this week that comes out on Sunday?
This week will be the story of Dean.
Oh, yeah. Dean Jackson.
Yes. Dean Jackson, who is across the pond. Actually, the name of this week's audio cast will be Darkness Across the Pond. He's in the UK. And boy, did he have a riveting story to tell us.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. Hey, Kevin, thanks for being on tonight.
Thanks for joining us.
So in a couple of minutes, Zeke's going to be on. If you've joined us before for a Tarot Tuesday or a Woo Woo Wednesday, you know that we chat with our readers and get a little sense of who they are and have some fun with them. And then we usually open things up to let them pull some cards for you. So be prepared for that. Yep. I want to take one real quick moment. If you are a fan of paranormal TV, which I am, and I know you are.
Yep, definitely.
Kind of some big news because what really got me into investigating the paranormal were the TV shows that came out really early in the 2000s. And the big one was Ghost Hunters with Jason and Grant and the team.
That
And
was the first actual modern, I guess you could say modern ghost hunting show that I really watched very, very closely. I mean,
right.
we all grew up with In Search Of. That was my obsession.
Yeah, but
In Search Of.
you never saw anybody actually go out and investigate. You know,
No.
you never saw
Nope.
that.
Nope.
That was more of like a after the fact story.
Documentary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Mhm.
So at any rate, Ghost Hunters came and went, and they were huge. And then Grant left the show and moved on, and then everything broke up, and they weren't on for a couple of years. Then in the very same year, Jason and part of the team and Grant and a new team came back on the air. Jason and his team as Ghost Nation on
Mhm.
Discovery, and Grant and his team on A&E, which was kind of an
Mhm.
interesting place. And
Yeah, I
Grant got the name Ghost Hunters. The other team got Ghost Nation, and they continued on. Well, Ghost Hunters only made it a season. Ghost Nation has continued to thrive. And it was just announced today that actually Ghost Hunters is going to be moving to Discovery Plus and will not include Grant or his team from this round of Ghost Hunters. It's going to involve the Ghost Nation team. So it's going to be
Mhm.
Jason and Steve and whatever that other guy's name is. I can't remember.
Dave Tango.
Dave Tango. That's
I love
right.
Dave
How could I
Tango.
forget that? At any rate, if you're interested in that just came out today. I've got many thoughts on it. We're not going to get into it tonight, or we'll
No.
never have Zeeke on.
But let's discuss that, though, at a later, maybe on one of our next week.
Well, once we see the show, we
Yeah.
can discuss it.
Yeah,
How's that
that's true.
sound?
Yeah, let's
All
talk
right.
about it. Because I have some thoughts as well.
Do you?
I do.
Do you actually have some thoughts to share?
I do.
All right. So you lost money tonight. Well, actually, there was no money on it. But you said that he was going to have absolutely no pants on.
No.
And he turned out having pants on and a shirt.
And a shirt.
That's right. It was a shirt. Yeah.
I'm a
We
little
were
blown away.
worried that we'd have nipple cam or something like that. But it didn't turn out to be that way. Please welcome to the program, Zeeke Harris. Zeeke, thanks for being with us.
Yay.
So, okay, the first thing we see is the hat that says which, by the way, he was not wearing, but we found out, Sandy and I found out that he had the hat, and then we made him put it on.
We did.
And it looks really good on you. It looks
Yeah.
good.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to get all my hats an extra large because my head's kind of shaped like so it's so I'm really the only kind of hats I can wear are the flat billed hats.
Well, we appreciate you being on tonight. And one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on is because you and I had talked about possibly starting a podcast, because I believe with your personality and your background, I really think that you could make a very interesting case to do podcasting. And so that's kind of where the talks kind of started.
Yeah, it did. We sort of bonded over our love for the paranormal and the metaphysical and whatnot. And it just sort of grew from there. But we've been Facebook pals forever.
Yeah. In fact, let me tell you a story about Zeeke. And I've told this story before, but I'm not sure anybody really knew that Zeeke was the guy. But one of the things that I do is I investigate on a Amazon Prime TV show called Haunted State. And we had done an investigation at a location that I'm not able to talk about. But I walked away from it with a very dark energy around me. I was not possessed. It was nothing like that. But things in my life changed to the point where my vision, literally what I was seeing, was kind of like all the color had been drained. The blues were still kind of there. The grays were there, but everything else was gone. The brilliance of life had left the building, if you will. And I didn't know what to do. I was certain that something had come back with me. And then I found out weeks later that the rest of the team had the same damn thing happen to them. And we didn't tell one another. Why, Sandy? Why didn't we tell one another?
Because you would make fun of us?
No. Because like we always say, you're going to think I'm crazy, but
Yeah.
right?
No,
Which is a phrase
exactly.
we hate. We hate that phrase. And yet I was thinking it. I didn't want to tell my castmates and my teammates on the investigation, hey, this happened to me. And then when I finally broke down and realized I needed to tell them, every one of them had a similar story. And so at any rate, getting back to Zeeke, I reached out to him and I said, what can I do? Because I knew he was a practicing witch. And I knew that he was kind of into the woo stuff more than I was at the time. And so he helped me. He actually created some spells and designed some candles and herbs and salts and all that kind of stuff, and gave me step by step what I needed to do to not only get rid of whatever had kind of clung on to me, but also protect me going forward. And actually, one of the candles that I have in the studio, I'm sure it's worn out by now as far as any of its magical powers. But I still burn it because it's a good candle and it looks nice in the background. But yeah, one of those candles actually is one of the ones you gave me, Zeeke. So I want to thank you for that, because to have to come to someone and explain how you're feeling, again, thinking, oh, you're going to think I'm crazy. You really treated me with a lot of respect, and I appreciate that.
No problem. I personally think the world's a lot bigger than I think we're willing to realize, and that there's more around us than what meets the eye. And it's to think someone's crazy because they have interactions with this unseen world is you're sort of just telling people that you have a very narrow view of reality.
Right. What do you help other people too? I mean, like, do you have services, if you will? Can people reach out to you if they need something?
I usually do. I usually teach a lot, like lectures and classes. I'll do over like various spiritual practices, like spiritual baths. But people do come to me, like if they think they're dealing with, like if they are experiencing issues with like spirits in the house or ominous presences, kind of like you were. People have come to me with that. People have come to me for readings about spouses. I've got stories about all the things people could try to come and talk to me about. Like even at work in my muggle job, even.
Muggle job. Like,
do people show up at the store or whatever and say, "Hey, help me out"?
I worked at a store one time, and there was a person who. Fun story. First psychic I ever went to, there was a guy who came in who claimed to have problems with seeing spirits in the house, and he was showing me these pictures. And I didn't see anything in the pictures. All I really saw was like piles of dirty laundry. I'm like, sir, that's not a spirit. That's dirty blue jeans. But I didn't discount him, because I could tell that the person was dealing with something. And so I did like I did for you, and I gave him steps about like a bathing regimen he could do for a week, like from the new moon to the full moon, or in reverse if he was a little more comfortable from the new moon from the full moon to the new moon, to sort of decrease the presence of that entity.
So I'm going to ask you, and I want you to be honest with me, because again, I have powers here beyond just one of the hosts. Did you the thing you did for me, was it real, or were you just making stuff up to make me feel better?
That was actually real, because I did spells and I enchanted those candles myself. I did spell work and stuff like that.
Oh my God. I've got Zeeke right in here with me. That's so crazy.
Was that, Zeeke, was that an actual attachment that Todd had? That was an entity actually attached to him?
It was. It kind of reminded me, or made me think of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Of a succubus or an incubus, but without the sexual interaction.
Right.
Because spirits will attach themselves to people, and they feed off our emotions, especially the negative emotions. And anything they can do to sort of promote those is kind of like it's a veritable golden corral, if you will, if you have them up there. Or it is a buffet, especially with all the negative stuff we're dealing with in the world today. It's just kind of a smorgasbord, and you have to take every precaution necessary. And I like Todd. I tolerate Todd a little bit, and just the thought of him having to deal with those things. And
do I have to get the phone out, Zeeke? Because I will. You don't want me to get the phone out.
Don't make him get the phone out, Zeeke.
I'm gonna prepare for it.
We've gone about a week without the phone, so we're on a roll.
Oh God.
But like, and then I tried to. People who do investigations, I believe, don't go in with a proper respect for the energy that's bouncing around. I'm not like you guys do, but there's people out there who will just walk into a place with a flashlight.
Yep.
And no protection, spiritual, physical, whatsoever. And then they usually the spirits end up following them home.
Well, in my situation I don't know that it was necessarily like a specific location or building or something like that. I felt it as soon as because we were on an island. We were on an island off of the off Door County in Wisconsin. So we actually had to take a ferry over and stuff like that. And I got it as soon as we walked down the island. I could feel that things were different. And again, I guess some of the other cast members felt the same thing. Chris says you have great lighting, by the way.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Ando. Thank you.
I hope he's talking to you, because mine looks like crap. Okay.
I know. Maybe he's talking to me.
Possibly. I want to talk to you a little bit about more about the witch thing in a minute. But you last year, you were almost not here for this podcast because you almost bit the big one with the big C, the big COVID.
In July of last year, I got really, really sick with COVID-19 and had to go to the hospital twice and breathing problems I never had before. I lost probably about, I would say I was 215 or 210 before COVID, and now I'm sitting at 180 because I'm still dealing with a little bit of the symptoms from it, like arthritis and body aches and stuff of that nature.
I bet, because you work with the public, I'm sure that you probably got it that way somehow, some way, shape, or form. But were you as concerned about COVID going into it as you were coming out of it? So in other words, did you realize that it could be affecting you this long?
I did not. I was not aware of like long hauler symptoms and stuff like that. I was not aware of just how long it could go on for years.
Yeah, and back in July, too, it was very new. The whole idea of long haul symptoms was very new to everybody. And so it wasn't really understood that much. So it has gotten better, though, right, Zeke? Or is it still...
Definitely alleviated. And I've gotten the vaccination and been through the whole process. But I still can't consume, like, animal proteins. And so, which is kind of a nice caveat. And so I just went full vegan at the beginning of this year.
Wow.
It's been an adventure.
How are you finding that?
It's not nearly as difficult. I'm happy I'm doing it now rather than like 5-10 years ago because there's a lot more plant-based alternatives now.
Right.
And that is like cruelty-free and kind of like they have plant-based bratwurst.
Well, if you're from the Midwest, especially Wisconsin, and you can find a plant-based bratwurst, you got to do it.
Let's see.
Let's talk more about witch. What made you decide to kind of go on this path? How long ago did you say, this was something I'm going to follow? This is something I'm going to educate myself on. This is something I'm going to practice.
Well, before I came out, all this 25 was a very pivotal age for me. And I came out of the closet at 25. And at that point I was in seminary. I was studying like different courses, like textual criticism of the Bible, like literally studying like the Greek and the Hebrew of the Bible. But the world that I was trying to go into didn't jive very well with what I was dealing with on the inside. And long story short, I just sort of said, okay, guys, I'll see you later. I like boys. And they're like, okay, bye.
Did they say it like that, by the way? Okay, bye.
That is the Zeeke Harris interpretation.
I like it.
That is the Zeeke Harris interpretation. But I've always had a spiritual side ever since I was a child. I just knew there was something bigger out there, and I just wanted to find the proper outlet that didn't feel like, because I just didn't feel what was out there it could honestly care less that I was gay. And I just wanted to find an outlet for what would feed my soul that also taught me personal responsibility as well. That's one of the things that I like about the path that I'm on, is that it teaches personal responsibility and it teaches everybody else personal responsibility.
For those people who are listening and they're a little concerned about the term witch or Wiccan or whatever you want to call it, how do you define what it really means?
To me, a witch were those people who always adhered to the old ways before monotheism really took off. And they were the outliers, the ones who lived on the outskirts of a town and kept watch over a community. And they were the ones that people would go to for advice. Witches and shamans and mystics were the ones people would go to for healing and to talk to whenever they had problems and to help them if they were dealing with depression or mental issues. That's what a witch does. A witch helps. But to me, witch also means is somebody who speaks up for people who don't have a voice or whose voices are being held down. To me, that's what a witch does.
And so that's the path you're on. And obviously you're very pleased with that. And I think you should be. I think that's great. Lisa says the wise ones.
Exactly.
Very good. Karen, thanks for being on with us tonight.
Hi,
Did
Karen.
you say hi to Karen before? I didn't check it.
No, not yet. No,
good.
That's my BFF.
Hey, wait a minute. Stop for a second here. Because you always say, against my will, that I'm your BFF. So is it Karen or is it me?
You are my BFF. But
You can't have two.
Yes, you
It's
can.
one or the other. Pick.
I'm not just, you're so mean to me. I can't.
Right now, Karen, let's go. Is it you or me?
You do get out in the parking lot.
In just a little bit, we're going to be asking Zeke to pull some cards and all that kind of Todd. It's humid out. Take off that beanie. I can't.
Wait, what did we discuss the other day? We are horrible about this. We had hoodies on. It was like 80 degrees out. We're wearing
I've got
hoodies.
a t-shirt on tonight.
I know you do. That's really good.
I have just very long hair on top.
You don't want to see his hair when it's not styled. I have. That's all I can say.
BFF wouldn't say that. I can tell you that much right now.
Ooh, a spat.
A what?
A spat. I got drug into the middle of a spat.
We're not spat. No, we're not.
Shit, we've only spatted twice. Oh, I just swore we'll never get a Facebook post now.
You ruined it for us. Thanks.
We've only fought twice, and the first time was because she said she was my BFF, and I told her she wasn't. And then the second time was because, as her BFF, I was trying to protect her, and she didn't want that. So, that's how that
and
goes.
then there's my version, which is the truth. So,
BFFs.
What did you say?
I can be both of y'all's BFFs.
That's
all right, thanks, Zeke.
I'm out.
Do you have any spells for BFFs?
Yes, but I don't like to talk about them because it kind of involves it kind of involves manipulation. If you really want Todd as your BFF,
No,
please
don't. Whatever I got to do, I'll send you cash. It just doesn't.
I thought you were going to say it did involve clothing or something.
Well, if that's what I got to do. I want to talk to you a little bit more about because we talked about your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
If you did a podcast, what do you think? What's your voice on the podcast? And obviously, as you and I discussed, podcasts can evolve. Ours evolved a little bit and continues to do so. But in a long-term vision of a podcast, what do you want to be able to offer content-wise?
Content-wise, I would like to talk about sort of like this. One of the things, like the things I do lectures over, like the history of spiritual baths or of doll magic, and sort of dispel a lot of things about what it means to be a magic user. But also, I want people to be able to connect with their what's called personal sovereignty. I want people to be able to have the best life possible. And I just think we're bombarded with images daily that sort of suppress and just sort of subjugate us to things that we don't even want to be subjugated to. So one of the things that I'm big on, and I love to tell people, is that you have a lot more power than you realize. You have the power to manifest just the same as take example the first chapter in the Bible, book of Genesis. We have the power to speak into existence the same our own reality, just like that. If I can use that as a good example.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we're all connected to that kind of power. And it's just a matter of accepting it right here. And then eventually it's going to come out right here.
It's so weird because I was listening to a podcast from one of our readers, Victoria, today, and she was talking about that very subject. Like, right now is the time to manifest, to speak these things and bring them to fruition, bring them to, to real reality. And so it's kind of interesting that my day kind of started with that and it's kind of ending with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think a lot of people aren't aware of their own personal sovereignty, that they're their own monarchs in their own life. No matter what your situation is, whether you're living in a sprawling mansion or an apartment or anywhere, you have the ability to summon a better life for yourself. And that might not always manifest as currency or material things. It can manifest as spiritual things, because progress doesn't always have to be material.
Absolutely. I want to talk to you about your cards. What cards are you going to be using tonight? What makes them the deck that you chose tonight, other than the fact that you could actually show them on Facebook?
I'm going to be using what's called the primitive Lenormand. It's based off of a 17th century Lenormand deck of cards, and it was actually used for a game called the game of chance, or the game of life, sort of that theme back then. And they would use it to play like an actual card game, like poker or gin rummy or something like that.
Gotcha. Now, what drew you to them? Because I guess I am a firm believer that people choose certain decks and certain cards because they feel that they're supposed to use them. I
was drawn to Lenormand whenever I first started out because I I tried tarot, and I just ended up more confused than anything else because it was just so intricate, and I felt it's just so intricate and deep that I have my own personal interpretations of it, but there's no way I'd be able to remember every interpretation of the card. It just seemed a little more, it just wasn't the right fit for me. And I think I think our magical tools draw us to them, personally.
There you go.
I agree.
There you go.
They pick us. We don't pick them.
Yep.
If you're interested in having Zeeke read for you, he's going to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's going to do, if you want a card, just say, hey, will you draw me a card? And are you going to just draw at that point kind of thing?
Yep. I will draw a single card and talk about it.
Okay.
And if I zone out a little bit, it's because I'm just sort of trying to figure in on what's being said to me.
For people who are worried about tarot, and I know that and tarot and card reading in general, whether it's tarot or something else, what do you say to those people who are a little concerned about it? How do you kind of squelch their fears?
Like concerned, like people being worried about like, oh, is it going to tell me when I'm going to die?
Right, all that stuff.
I just say, well, if the future is mutable. If you're going to die, nobody knows when we're going to die. Whenever I draw the coffin card, people are like, oh God, what does that mean? I'm like, chill out. It doesn't mean you're going to die. The coffin card usually just means the end of something, a transition, stuff like that. I have never predicted anyone's death.
I have to be honest, when you showed me the cards earlier, the coffin card came up and I pretty much was just about ready to check out and go home, just so you know about that.
You know what? A lot of people are like that. And in the, like, for example, the Weight Rider deck, the death card, people immediately think that means that they'll be, you know, it'll be untimely death and destruction. And it is, like Zeeke said, it really is, it means that something is going to end and maybe there will be a rebirth of something new.
Right. That's
what it truly means.
You are getting some requests, my friend. So Dudes with Brews on a Porch is actually a friend of ours named Drew. And he's the podcast that we did last week. And Drew was drunk off his ass while we were doing it. So if you'd pull a card for Drew, I think he'd appreciate it tonight.
If he even remembers it.
Yeah, right.
He drew. I drew for Drew. I drew the park. And what the park or the garden card sometimes it's called, it usually means sort of a place of relaxment and contentment with life. That maybe something has just ended for you, sort of a trial or a tribulation has ended. And wow, it's kind of funny. I was talking about that, and then I drew the coffin card again. That something has come to an end and you are in a state where life is going pretty smooth, or you're about to be in a spot that's pretty smooth for you.
He straight on.
Nailed that. Totally nailed that, Drew. Yep. Nice job, buddy. I mean, do you want me to give you some verification on that?
Sure.
I hope you don't. I hope Drew. I hope you don't mind, but he had been working very hard he worked in radio for a long time, got out of radio for his family, and he's been working for a long time to try and become a teacher for special ed students. Awesome. And he just found out this week that he got the gig.
Yay!
Nice job, Drew. Nice
congrats,
job, Zeke.
Drew.
Let's see. Renee said, I'd love a card drawn.
Sure, Renee.
Except maybe she said it in an English accent. So it'd be, I'd love a card drawn. Thank you. Something like that.
I drew for Ms. Renee the stork, which just usually means, to me, what I feel like this means for you, Renee, is that something is coming something is being birthed for you. Something that is that you've been working on for a long time, dreaming about, seeking out, is finally starting to come into reality for you. It's because the stork brings babies, but I don't feel like this is talking about a literal baby, so don't worry. I feel like this is something that's going to come to pass for you. What you're hoping for is going to be brought down from the ether and into this plane of existence.
So is there anything she can do, for instance, let's say you get a reading like that. Is there something she can do manifestation-wise to make sure that happens? Like put it out there in the universe?
Never underestimate the power of an affirmation. Write it down on a piece of paper, carry it around in your pocket, put it in your wallet, put it in your handbag, in your purse.
I don't have a purse. Do you have a purse up there, Sandy? I know you do. How much was your purse?
Todd, put it in your...
Which one? Which
Put
one?
Put it in my what?
Just put it in your shoe. Just don't
Okay.
split because you might get knocked out.
All right, Dawn, my sister is asking for a card, actually.
Always picking on me.
That's what I do.
I know.
Okay.
I'm good at it.
You got house, Dawn. This sort of represents your personal life, and I think I'm actually going to draw another card really quick. And the scythe showing up sort of represents quick, fast separation. And what this represents to me is sort of dealing with relationships in your personal life that weren't for your best, that were not for your best interest, and sort of been causing you some issues. Because I took the liberty of even drawing a third card really quick, which is the cross, which sort of represents suffering and resurrection. So it represents you're letting go and unburdening yourself with relationships that aren't bearing fruit in your life, and that you're going to be a better person for it in the end, if I can just be so brief to say so.
Sounds good. Hopefully that resonates, Dawn. Karen, I'll take a card if you have time.
There's always time. There's always time if Miss Karen wants a card.
The witch is going to pull a card.
Let's see.
Love that hat.
Oh, wow. So what I pulled for Karen is I pulled the cloud cards. That means what's going on is Karen, you've been dealing a little bit with doubting of your own abilities, is what this says to me. Like you've been dealing with a little bit of self-doubt. And don't doubt yourself, because you're more of a spiritual badass than I really think you are. Because that's one of the things, is that we're always taught to doubt ourselves and our power. And that's usually by people who don't want us to feel powerful. Because if you don't feel powerful, you're easier to control. And you are a wild, beautiful woman. So be a wild, beautiful woman.
Hit the nail on the head for that one.
Ding, ding, ding. If I had a
Ding,
game
ding,
show
ding.
bell ready, he would be getting one now. Michael would like a card.
Oh, I owe him a reading anyway. Does this count? All right, Michael. Drew the bird card for you, Michael. And that represents community and relationships. And I'm going to draw another card to go with that, and it's the ring. And that represents commitments. So what this tells to me is about keeping up with promises you've made to the community or to your friends around you. And from what I know you personally, and you're really good for that. And that's actually going to come out in your favor. Probably here in about a month to a year. Talk to me about that. Take a screenshot, message me after this, and you can take a picture of these cards. And also, what that also means is because you're actually going to end up going through a trial, is what I'm seeing that's going to start happening. Because the cross card popped up again. And what this is going to do is this is going to test the commitments of your friend circle. And you're going to see who's true blue and who is just there for the food, if that makes sense.
Boy, I know that story. I don't, but okay. Let's see. Jared has asked for a card. I want to ask you a quick question before you draw for him.
Mm-hmm.
If I can remember what the hell I was going to ask you. Okay. So how much of your reading, and I like to ask our readers this, how much of the reading is the card and how much is your intuition of the card?
The way I explain it, Todd, is the cards are kind of like binoculars. They help you focus in on something. Because whenever the person walks in the room, I'm usually already starting to get a pretty good stream on what's going on with them. And then the cards articulate what's going on. They just sort of help you pinpoint things that are going on in that person's situation. So the best analogy I have is the cards are like binoculars.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you worried at all about having him around? He's like reading your mind right now, Sandy.
No, I was just going to say hi to Sudi. She's one of our other readers, and she came in tonight. So good evening,
okay.
Sudi.
Hey,
It's
Sudi.
good to have you. That's why I was thrown off, because I was concentrating on that. Sorry.
Hello, Sudi. Okay, for Mr. Jared Waymeyer, my goodness, that's certainly a really interesting last name. It's really long. I have drawn the trees. This represents to me, what this represents is you've always been someone whose roots have always managed to find water. when things just seem to be the most hopeless as they can be, your roots go down deep. And sometimes that seems a little bit more difficult than others, but you have help coming from another location from a very unlikely source. What seems like it's going to overwhelm you won't overwhelm you. You just have to have faith in your own roots. Have faith in how deep your roots are. That's what the tree card means.
Very, very cool. Well, these are going very well tonight. So far, nobody's got, well, I was going to say nobody's gotten the coffin card, but that's not necessarily true.
Last week, I can't remember which of our viewers was told by Eric, one of our other readers, that she should take a pregnancy test.
I want to know what happened there.
I know. We'll have to see if we can get a follow-up on that one.
Something like that.
I hope it has a beard whenever it comes out and looks like Todd.
And some wild hair
That's
and a beanie.
Damn good looking baby, I'll tell you that much.
Oh boy.
I hope he's as humble as Todd too.
Yeah, exactly.
Looks like Betsy wants a card drawn?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, Betsy, one moment. Okay. All right, Betsy, what's going on? Ooh. Betsy, your card is the fish. The fish card, especially in Eastern culture and Eastern mythology, represents prosperity. It represents a ways to a means. And what this tells me right here is that maybe you've been dealing with some financial problems, or maybe that's what I'm seeing is a little sort of material problems. But the message I want to give to you with this card is that microcosm reflects macrocosm. You summon what you serenade, and you've been putting that into practice. And I'm just here to let you know, because I was a naughty boy and I drew another card to go with that. And the sun card comes up after that. Just to let you know, the day is coming. You will make it through the night. And if you persevere, you will see an end to what's going on.
Very cool. And do any of your readings well, you nasty son of a bee, and you've got yours coming. It's coming for you, and you're going to end up. I mean, do you ever read negative stuff, or does it come across pretty positive for you?
Some stuff actually does come out pretty negative. Like, I can tell whenever people have dealt with like sexual abuse, and I've dealt with people who were the abusers before, and I try to put a positive spin on that. I don't want to say you better quit beating on this person, or spirit's going to karate chop you in the throat.
Right.
But it's not always, to me, the indication of a good reader is somebody who who knows that things aren't always going to come up sunshine and rainbows.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right.
Do you ever have people come to you and ask you questions that maybe you don't feel comfortable answering or discussing?
There's far few of them that I'm not comfortable answering, because I'll answer most of them because at a little bit I'm kind of nosy and I want to know what's going on, and also I just believe people deserve to have direction. Mm-hmm. So that way I don't want people to fly into any situations blindly, because that's just not fair. And if I can be the great equalizer, I will be the great equalizer.
Gotcha. We've got waiting for a couple of more people to bring in their requests for a card. We've got a few more minutes for some more cards. So I would like to ask you would you pull, and we've done this a couple of times with some of our readers, but would you pull a card, not for Sandy or I, but for the podcast itself?
Sure.
And just see what you see.
That'd be fun.
Watch it come up the actual
the coffin card.
The coffin card. And in this case, you'll say it's dead. You're dead, Jim. Move on.
Given it all she's got, Captain, I don't think she could take much more of this. There.
That's right.
I drew this for the podcast card. The heart.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I feel like you guys are moving into a season where you're going to finally be able to do something that feeds your soul and feeds the community at the same time.
I love it.
It makes me happy, but of course it also makes me want to puke.
Of course it does. Of course it does. But there is a recurring theme here, and we're always getting those kinds of positive cards, positive readings, and it's validation. It's good for us to know, because we are woo-woo. So, it's good guidance for us too, to know, hey, we're going in the right direction. So
I'll take one.
Tammy
Frederick. Sure, Tammy. I need to get one of those automatic like poker card shufflers.
The lazy witch. That's your new handle.
No, that's innovation.
Zeke, quick question. Do
Sure.
you, when you're going to read, when you're going to do readings or anything, do you have anything that you do to prepare for them?
Oh yeah, I have been doing the exact same ritual for readings ever since I started reading for the public. If you're getting an in-person reading, the stuff you see me do is this, even right down to the stuff I say, has been the same for years.
Wow.
I'm an earth sign. I'm a Virgo, so I stick to my I'm very rigid whenever it comes to my rituals and stuff like that. Oh, it looks like who I drew, the last young lady, this is the mouse card. To me, the mouse card, this is not the cute little Disney princess mouse or the Mickey Mouse. Tammy, what this means is that there has just been something that's been eaten away at you. Like as you lay on your bed at night, you deal with these invasive thoughts. And I believe it's thoughts about a situation that has to do with manifestation in your life. Like you think you're not in a position to be able to do what you want to do. I pulled the stork card. It came out right next to the mouse card, and you're having doubts about, kind of like I told the young lady earlier, it's not too late. I'll just sum up your reading for that. It's not too late for you to bring something into reality. If you're still breathing, it's not too late. It'll never be too late. It's just a matter of the universe sitting here going, okay, Tammy, here it is. Do you want to take it? Whenever it comes to dealing with spirit and giving you opportunities, it's not a game of 20 questions. You either take it or you don't.
Do you notice that every time that Zeke does a voice, it's the same one? It's that creepy, like, clown voice, kind of like, hey, everybody, you know, that thing?
A creepy voice and a creepy face.
Hey! That's an interesting reading for Tammy, because I actually think it's very similar to one that she got a couple of weeks ago. Tammy, if that's true, hit me back up there and let me know, because I think you had a similar reading a couple of weeks ago.
It's funny, Todd. I was thinking the same exact thing as Zeke was doing her reading. And Betsy as well. I think Betsy got something similar either last week or the week before during a reading. Very similar readings, which is interesting.
Very cool. We're going to get ready and wrap things up here. But I wanted to take a moment and thank you again for spending time with us.
Well, thank you for having me. I actually had a lot of fun.
This was great.
Good, I'm glad you did. A couple of places you can check Zeke out on Facebook. That's his Facebook, facebook.com/brozeek. And on Instagram, it's @brotherzeek. You can follow him there. And I'll tell you what, I mean, we'd love to have you back. And when you're ready to do a podcast, we'll have you on to talk about that and help promote that and all that kind of stuff too.
Without a doubt, Zeke. Zeke, do you have a second? Sudi would like to know if you might pull a card for her. She's never used that deck before.
Sure. I would love to. In fact, Sudi, if you want to hit me up on my Facebook business page, I'll do an even bigger reading for you if you feel so inclined. It just got really quiet.
It did.
I drew the scythe for Sudi. Like I said about the scythe earlier, this represents quick, fast separation, and sometimes it's painful. And what this says to me is that it's sort of a personal relationship where something feels like it's expiring and it is expiring. And the way we deal with that is if you've... Hold on, I'm trying to figure out the good words to say. If you hang on to something that's dead long enough, it starts to stink. So if it's time to let something go, let it go, because there's something else way better coming for you. Not
Very
like
cool.
For you like Jason Voorhees and a scary, but the gods or the universe, whatever name you choose, wants to give you something better than what's in front of you. You've just developed an attachment. Sorry, I'm on a tangent.
Do it.
Attachment to something that's not bearing fruit for you anymore, if that makes sense.
Interesting. Sudi, you'll have to reach out to us and let us know what you think that reading means for you, how it resonates with you, how you think that lines up with what's going on in your life. I would love to know. So
definitely.
All right. So what do you want to start this podcast? Because Sandy's ready to help you get going.
Yep. You let me know, Zeke. You and me.
Definitely.
We've got you going.
I will definitely reach out to one or both of you. We'll get some color sheets for Todd, and we'll do it. It'll be great.
All right, that'll be a lot of fun, and it'll be good to work together. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Zeke, hang on the line. We're going to put you back in the back room for a little bit and then stick around once we roll the credits. Zeeke Harris, again, if you want to check him out, he is on Facebook and on Instagram. That was great.
It was fantastic. Yet another one of our readers that I absolutely adore.
Yeah.
And he's so real. Like he's just such a great person. And you know, it kind of resonates across the whole show, you know, those good, honest, straightforward vibes that he has, you know, it just makes you feel really good. And I found my big takeaway from tonight, Todd, was that we have had several of our people who received cards tonight have had previous readings with our other readers and how similar the readings are. And they don't know our viewers. You know, they don't know who our viewers are. So it's very, very interesting to me. And it's sort of a little bit more of a validation. And how about our card? How cool was that?
I don't know what to say about it, to be honest with you. It's kind of scary to me when I think about all these readings that say that, you know, we're just like best friends. Oops. It's the phone.
The phone.
Let me get that real quick and just see what they have to say.
Get the phone.
Yeah. Listen, I didn't get a chance to talk to him ahead of time, so I wasn't able to tell him not to wear pants. Yeah. I know. We thought no shirt. We thought there'd be nipple. All right. Thank you. Bye. That was just that person from the phone who always calls, and they were kind of surprised there was clothing tonight.
You know, it was funny because I was surprised that you didn't ask me about pants. When you said, is he going to wear a shirt or not? I thought you were going to go, is he going to wear pants or not?
I don't know. I hope that he will come back and do more of this. I would love to talk about some of the topics that he does lectures on and stuff like that.
Yes, me too.
Till we get that podcast up and running for him.
I know. And it's funny that you were thinking the same thing because I wanted to give him enough time to do readings and everything. But I have a lot of questions about the things that he does and his lectures and all of the different services that he provides as well. And again, you can catch Zeke right here on Facebook. And it's facebook.com/brozeek.
Oops. There's it. There it is.
There it is.
And it's /, but that's okay.
/ Yeah. Sorry. You know, I'm not even technical in that.
I know. -6.
Yeah, unfortunately.
There's his Instagram, too. We really had a good time tonight. I'm glad we got him on. Yes. Several weeks in the making, but glad that he stuck around. Anything else that you have to talk about, or can I go drink for a little bit?
No, I think we're all caught up. I'll be at camp. And so our next big day will be on Sunday for Sunday Fun Day, 1 p.m. Eastern. We will have George Lunsford, an author. He does a lot of monsters, legends, creepy tales kind of books. And he also has his own podcast. So we'll talk to him about all of that stuff. And I'm sure he's got some great stories for us. So that's Sunday Fun Day this week. Really,
really looking forward to it. We'll see you on Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 on Central, correct?
Yes, 1 o'clock Eastern. And I can't wait to give you guys a little bit of an update on my paranormal investigation this Saturday night.
That's right. And in a couple of weeks on the audio cast, we're going to have a bunch of our people that we've had on, our readers, on a very special audio cast. So hang on for that, too.
It's going to be a lot of fun to put
Until
that one
then, bye-bye.
Bye, guys.